welcome to my homeschool room tour. And by homeschool room, I mean my homeschool home. Because truthfully, we don't have a dedicated space in our home for homeschooling. I instead have several different places that I store and organize all of our learning materials, our supplies, and more. So today I'm going to take you guys around my entire house and show you guys where some of that stuff lives for our 6 kids. We've got kids from 2nd grade all the way up to 10th grade. And so we organize things in a lot of different ways to fit the seasons that my kids are in. So I'm going to show you guys what that looks like practically and show you guys how we manage to keep all of it straight. So let's get started. First up is my awesome Billy bookcase. This whole thing is from IKEA and it's really neat because you can customize it in different ways. You're gonna see downstairs how we utilize it in a different way as well. But these bookshelves are thinner than traditional bookshelves. They don't take up much space in your room, and then you can add things like doors. Before I go inside and show you guys what's inside, I did want to show you guys this. This is a new addition to our homeschool space, but I now have 3 teenagers and we have decided to allow them to have phones. We use the Wise phone and you can see more about that in a video that I'll link down in the description below. But I didn't want them to have their phones on them during school hours. So every morning they get their phones from our bedroom because they're stored in our bedroom. And then they're allowed to check them before school starts. But once school starts, they have to dock them here. And then they cannot pick them up for the day until I've confirmed that all of their schoolwork is done. And that's working really well for us and making sure that we don't have distractions during school hours and they can charge them, which is even better. Now, in these cabinets, we have a lot of different things. This one right here is specifically my teacher cabinet. And you can see it's not perfectly organized. I thought about straightening it up for you guys, but truthfully, this is real life. This is what it looks like on a day-to-day basis. Mostly in place, but some random things, you know, like decks of cards and other things shoved in here. And that's what it looks like. We love to use these magazine holders. I found these cloth ones on Amazon years ago, and I don't think they sell them anymore, which is so sad because they work great for narrow or shallower places. However, we have found these awesome clear ones now that do the exact same thing. They just don't have that front cover. So here I keep all of my teachers' manuals or our books that we read as a group, like our science and our history. We have our readers for All About Reading for the levels we're currently utilizing. And then in here, I have a bucket for some of my teens of books that they can choose from to read for this year. So they're required to do in high school an hour of reading time a day. And then they can come through here, pick out books. Once they've kind of gone through most of these, then I will pull out new books and change those out for them. We have some learning supplies like our letter tiles that they utilize. We have some of our learning supplies like our Matthew C blocks. And down here is like my mic that I use. This, if you guys don't know about this amplification tool is amazing. It's a speaker and a headset that I utilize when I'm doing read alouds with my kids to save my voice from straining and to help my kids who have auditory processing or who have hearing loss to be able to hear me better. Over in the cabinet next to it is where a lot of my younger 3 kiddos' school supplies are set. This one's a little bit more organized. I think my oldest daughter came through here and straightened it up this morning. But we've got, again, those clear dividers, and then we have our morning menus. I have a video about what all is in our morning menus and places where you guys can get a bunch of free printables for your morning menus that I will link down in the description below. We have these, which have become my kids' literal favorite read aloud distraction things. They build them for preschoolers, but all of my elementary age kids actually love these. They are sticker books. I'm going to show you real fast. They are sticker books that you can use with your kids that are reusable. So it's just a scene. They have a bunch of different ones available, and it's a big scene like this. And then there's stickers right here on this flap that you can take off and remove, and you can put on the scene to make fun different things, and then you can take them off and move them back if you want. So my kids like to store them here so they can make sure they have them all. They love to use these during read aloud, so we keep a whole stash of them right here. We also have a second set in our on-the-go bag for school. Next up, you will see our flashcard storage. This is really fun. I got these at the Container Store. I have been utilizing the All About Reading boxes to store my kids' flashcards for years, but they take up a lot of space. So this is 2 different sets. This is all about reading to and all about spelling to. So I can fit 2 sets in 1 box. And these are from the Container Store. They're the medium stack bins that you can utilize. And then you'll see they stack really well on top of each other, so I can have multiple sets out at one time for my kids to organize and to have to review. In here, this is sort of my older elementary daughter's age stuff. This is all of her supplies. And again, she's using those clear folders. Down here, each of my younger daughters has 2 of their own organized folders, and then they put their stuff, their school supplies in there. These are these containers from Walmart. They're the home edit containers, and we use these to store all of our discovery decks. My girls love these. This is what they get to use when they finish school early. And so it's different questions with answers and a QR code that takes them to a fun YouTube video to answer those questions. And so at the end of the school day, if they finish their stuff on time, they can go in and they can do 2 questions in a discovery deck of their choice. So this is how we keep it nice and neat and organized. This is the small version of those stack bins that I was showing you earlier. These come with dividers, and the dividers can be moved around so you can utilize them in whatever way you want. These just snap out and snap in. But I'm actually utilizing these for a lot of the flashcards or different cards that we use in our home. These are the ones from my Etsy store called What Would You Do? And it's a whole bunch of different scenarios to talk through different opportunities with your kids. It's great for social emotional learning. It is fantastic for working with kids with special needs to talk about choices and what we can make. We also have our thankfulness cards where every day it has a different prompt. We'll pull one up and name something we're thankful for that we saw in nature this week, or name one part of God's creation you're thankful for. There's different categories in there. We also have our handwriting cards. So these are brand new in my Etsy store, and they're different games that you can play to help work on posture, dexterity, working on fine motor skills and gross motor skills that will help you in your handwriting and other areas of life. And then finally, I have my prayer cards for moms back here. These are the ones that I am praying for through the year for our homeschool, and they have several different categories or things to pray for on each card. And then we have our math flashcards, and they all fit in this nice, neat container, so I can pull them out easily, or I can just sort through them here, and I love it. Here are several of the read alouds that we are planning to do for this next year, and I have a video coming out on that soon. Down here are our math manipulatives. These, again, are containers from the Container Store. These are, I believe, the large bins, not the extra large bins. And then we use these photo keepers to organize the different tools, like our counting bears or our blocks, things like that. These are more blocks that we have. And then down here, we have our writing tablets. So these are amazing. If you guys have not seen them, I will link down to as many of these things that I can find as possible. We actually have 3 of these. My other 2 are being used right now. And we store them right here because we use them a lot for our math, for our girls to practice writing their equations on and whatnot. Let me show you guys how this works. So you just slide the pen off of the side, and then they can write. So they'll do something like, we've been working on missing add-ins. So they'll do like 4 plus what equals 10. And so then they can come back in here and write 6. When they've got it done, I can check it, and then they can just erase it. And it's been awesome. We also use it in our handwriting. So as they're practicing their cursive or things like that, they can practice writing it there. It saves us a lot of paper. We don't do everything on this, but this is what we do utilize quite a bit in our homeschool, and I have one for each of the 3 girls. Okay, so I showed you what are in these 2 drawers. In this one, I almost didn't show you because it's not necessarily school stuff, but it kind of is. So in this cabinet, we have our hymnals here. We have our book that we're doing for devotions right now. We have some Bible games that we utilize, especially on Sundays. We like to play these in particular. And then down here, we have 2 big boxes of fidgets. This might look excessive for some people. Honestly, it truthfully is just excessive. But my kids utilize this every single day for our school. They can pick out whatever fidget they like, and as long as they're not being a distraction to others around them, they can use those while we're reading history, science, read-alouds, so on and so forth. We also have some fun little toys like rescue heroes, little people, table, and board books for when we have friends over and they have little babies that are up here. We've got those things out that we can pull out for them. Now in this tall cabinet, we have got a bunch of my teacher supplies. So I'm going to show you guys as well as I can. I've got, again, those containers, and it's just got miscellaneous of our like extra things. So we've got crayons, markers. I've got like name tag labels up here, glue, tape, things like that. Here are a few more learning manipulatives that we use. I have got note cards up here. We've got, these are things that we use for counting. We've got when I feel sad cards, things they can do. And then down here, we have our glue. We have our different timers. We use these visual timers all the time in our homeschool, and my kids are constantly grabbing them, so I had them on a lower shelf. Here we've got more note cards because, again, with high schoolers, and my husband is actually in college as well as working a full-time job, so he goes through these quite a bit too. We have those available to the kids. And then we have this that stores all of our pencils and scissors and whatnot. This is actually something that's not sold anymore. There are alternatives on Amazon, and I'll try to link to a few of those. But if you can ever get your hands on one of these are the Pampered Chef tool turnabouts that they used to have. And we absolutely love them. We have several of them in our home for different things. Okay, continuing down, this is another one of those stack containers from the Container Store. This is the large one. I tried to leave the tags on so you guys could see what they were, because I knew you would ask. And I actually just put it sideways. Again, the dividers come out and adjust, but this is actually working as a great shelf for our markers, crayons, and colored pencils. In the past, I have stacked them like this, but then when my kids want one, they grab out the middle one, the top one falls, and it's the whole thing. So this kind of works as a great makeshift shelf because these things are being accessed on a daily basis. These things are like our extra stickers and our label cartridges and things like that, hot glue sticks and stuff like that. So I don't need those as often, and it's usually me that's getting into these. So I just have those stacked there. And then down here, I've got my hole punch that stays right here. And I've got some things like construction paper, and I've got extra pouches for storage as well. And then finally for this area, I have this cabinet, which, talk about real. This is really not organized. A lot of the stuff is thrown in there, but this is stuff that we're going to get to this year, but we're not currently using, or is stuff where it's gotten put in the wrong place. So like this is something we're currently using that's in the wrong place. But this is my son's history book for his American history. This is book 2, and he's in book 1 right now. So I didn't want to put it in our permanent storage. I also have things like the Bible studies we're going to start as soon as we're done with the one we're currently in. My daughter's CLE units that we're not currently in, so I can easily grab those out, and so on and so forth. Okay, our next storage area is our closet. This is in between our kitchen and our hallway, and it used to be, I think, the broom closet. My husband emptied it out and put some shelves for me in here, and this is kind of what it looks like. It's very, very streamlined this year. I really tried to make it as minimal as possible. We have got hooks that my husband 3D printed for each of the kids' headphones. So it's really nice at the end of the day. They can put it in there. You can see there's a couple in use right now. Also, we've got these new bins, again, from the Container Store. You can tell I kind of went crazy. It was very exciting. I discovered it while we were on an anniversary trip, my poor husband. But these are actually perfect to hold the experiment kits that I get from Nature's Workshop Plus. So if you guys don't know this, if you use Apologia or Brian Builders or many of the big name science companies, Nature's Workshop Plus actually carries science experiment kit for each of those things. And they're literally labeled like, sorry, it's really dark in this closet, so not great lighting for a video, but it'll be labeled. It'll say module 5. Here's everything you need to do those experiments, and it'll tell you if there's anything else you need to add. They come in a box, which is how I've always stored it, but they take up a lot of space. So having these containers is great. This is where my biology one is going to go, but I am still trying to figure out where it got put when we were doing construction downstairs in our basement. So that's where my biology one will go. This is where my zoology one went, and these are miscellaneous supplies, dissection kits, things like that. These 2 bins, again, just being real with you guys, I thought about cleaning all this up, but this is just the way it really looks. These 2 bins are for 2 different purposes, but right now they're serving one purpose. This is all the stuff that I need to go through to do our record keeping for this year. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, it's not fun. But this is what I need to go through and pull out samples of to make our record keeping binders. And I'll link down in the description below what that looks like and how I put that together. But typically when these are empty, and this is my plan this weekend, is to work on these for them last year. But typically this is the only bin that's for record keeping. And I try to sort through it occasionally throughout the year, either file things away or just kind of throw away things that are not necessary. And then this is for my turn-in basket. So for my kids, when they need me to grade something or look at something or whatnot throughout the day, instead of coming to me and interrupting constantly, they put it in here. And then at night I check that basket and I empty it. But right now it's not fully functional. Here I've got miscellaneous supplies. Honestly, there's really not a rhyme or reason or category. There's some sticker books that we're using for when we do science. There is my All About Math teacher's book. So it's just a bunch of sort of random things that we don't need on a daily basis, but we do have up here. And here is my teacher binder, which is where I keep a lot of different things. On top, you'll see I have a lot of our All About Reading, All About Spelling binders because they don't fit really well on those Billy bookshelves. Remember I said they're thinner than typical bookshelves. If you don't have the doors on them, they fit just fine. I'll actually show you what they look like downstairs here in a second. But yeah, they don't fit great on when the doors close. So I have those up here and I grab those when I need them. And then down here we have my big board. So I showed you guys that awesome drawing tablet earlier. This is the bigger version of that, which is fantastic. So I actually use this a lot when I'm teaching and for me as a teacher. So there's this here. There is our on-the-go school bag, which you've probably seen from various other videos, where it has our different clipboards in them. These clipboards have storage, and I can put all sorts of school supplies or lessons in there, and then we can just grab this on the go. Sorry, trying to pull this out into the better lighting. This is also where we keep several pockets for discovery decks. I told you guys we have more of those reusable sticker books in here. Some other workbooks that we don't use all the time, but I'd like to keep in our bag just in case we need some extra work on the go. And then we've got these are like scrapbook containers typically, but they're storing a variety of things. This bottom one has paint. There's one that has stamps, different craft supplies or science kit supplies are stored in there. Again, not daily use things I need to get for co-ops or special projects. Okay, we just redid our basement this summer. And so these are also the Billy bookshelves, and they have them in like thin ones. And so this is one long one and two thin ones. And I was able to organize these by our history units. So we use a 4-cycle history. So this is cycle 1, cycle 2, which looks very sparse, but that's because we're actually currently using cycle 2. Then we have 2 for cycle 3 and 2 for cycle 4. These are picture books, chapter books, early readers, anything like that that fit within that historical time period. We also have things like our Who What Was books. We have Bible story books or reference books. Here is more of the Bible kind of reference books. We have our missionary stories. These are all on one shelf. These are all manners, feelings, that kind of vibe there. Again, more Bible story ones. These are the ones that I love a lot. The Good News for Little Hearts. We have, I think, almost all of them now. And then these are ones we're going to be using this year as well. God Hears Your Heart, helping your kids to pray about hard emotions, tell God how you feel, and The Great Big Sadness. I highly recommend all 3 of these books, but those are in there. We have some science books that we like to utilize with our kids. We have some math books. These are all math picture books. So things like what's the angle of Pythagoras, or we love these multiply, menace, divides, the circumference and the sword and the cone, things like that, and a few art ones here as well. On the bottom, we have a few history reference books and geography and government books as well. Next to our fireplace, we also have more bookshelves. I'm telling you, they're everywhere in our house. And we have, these are not actually school related ones up here, but down here are more of our big reference books that are too big to fit elsewhere. And then I got these extra large storage totes from the Container Store, where I have just our picture books so that the kids can like pull them out and look through them more easily. And then down on the bottom is our record keeping notebooks that I talked about earlier. So this is the one that I have to fill this weekend. On this bookshelf, we have the extra large containers as well. And these are our sort of seasonal ones. So these are like our spring and Easter, summer and 4th of July, fall, Thanksgiving-ish books, winter and like Valentine's Day. I keep our Christmas books somewhere else because I literally could fill this whole section with Christmas books. But this allows us to like easily be able to find those seasonal ones that we want to be able to grab and go quickly. Okay, and then for each of my teens, they have their own workspace. They like to keep a lot of their school supplies stored in here. So this is where my daughter is working. Say hi. She's like, thanks for coming in. And I've got all of her school books in here. She has more in this rolling cart, and she kind of organizes and places this stuff in the way that she wants and works best for her and her homeschool. Okay, so this is one of my teen boys' space. Again, they get to kind of organize it, decorate it. Some prefer more minimalistic, some are very heavy on decor and extra fun things, but there is all sorts of ways that they organize and keep track of their school stuff. And another one, this is kind of his workspace. When he's doing school, he has this cleared off to work on his school. Currently, he is utilizing it after school for crafting and creating. So there is that as well. This is just the real life look at things. And then they've got bookshelves where they've got many of their school books and even some well organized, well placed items there. And this is just what real life looks like, is letting the teens kind of have the autonomy to organize as they want, as long as they get their schoolwork done and things don't get destroyed. So that is my real life homeschool room tour, where it's all of our house, and some of it is pretty and organized and cute, and some of it is anything but cute and organized, but that is how we function as a family. I really try to work on kind of tiering my kids towards more independence and really trying to let them have their own systems and figure out what works and what doesn't. And in the younger years, I try to have a more communal space so that we're not constantly spending our days searching for materials and books and things like that. I do want to put one more caveat on this, is to say that I have been homeschooling for well over 10 years. I have changed out my different homeschool rooms and spaces and setups for many, many years. And I actually have a playlist of all of those here on my YouTube channel. You guys can check out if you kind of want to see the progression through the years. And you'll see that some things I buy new each year, and I get a few little new things or new organizational tools to help me. And then other things I have been using for 10 plus years in our homeschool. And so it's not about having the Pinterest perfect space. It's not about going out and spending a ton of money on organizational supplies. It's about each year making little small investments to help you and your family function better. And if it's not something you'll actually utilize, then it's not something that you should invest in the first place. Hope this has been helpful. Be sure to subscribe and check out my video here to see what curriculum we are doing this homeschool year.